we will be doing I call it chocolate infused butter cake. Why do I call it that? Because we're going to be introducing chocolate, melted chocolate into butter cake and swirl it round to give us the marble effect. You know, there are different ways of doing marble cake. This particular one, we're going to melt the chocolate to get the marbling, you know. So it's not like we are baking, mixing chocolate cake separately and mixing, what's it called? We're not mixing chocolate cake separately and mixing butter cake separately, putting it together to make marble cake. This one is different, all right? So I hope you have your pen and your paper. Now, I'm going to read it out. So if you can help type it out. If not, it will be on the YouTube channel later. Do you get me? It will be on the Mix and Bake YouTube channel, the full recipe and everything, all right? So we're starting with butter, okay? Butter, you can use half and half like I'm using some butter and some margarine, all right? So 226-gram butter, or half and half butter. Advertise anybody's butter, but I'm mixing butter and regular margarine, okay? It's already been measured out. Then sugar, 180 gram. So this is sugar, 180 gram sugar. Everything has already been pre-measured. All right, 5 eggs. So eggs, baking powder, 1 teaspoon. That red, what's it called? 1 teaspoon plus half teaspoon. That is 1.5 teaspoon baking powder. Okay, 1.5 teaspoon baking powder. Then your flour. Your flour is 1 cup plus 3/4 cup. All right, flour is 1 cup plus 3/4 cup. The equivalent in grams. So I have my measuring scale here. All right, can you see that? Okay, because what I did was to get this one, I used my cup. So I used my 1 cup. Remember I said 1 cup, right? This is 1 cup, then 3/4 cup. 3/4 cup, 3/4. I don't know if you can see it clearly. So 3/4 cup plus 1 cup. So level. Make sure it's level. So we are doing baking 101 now. Back to basics. Basically, it's important you measure, okay? Then do not what's it called? Do not shake it. Don't shake it. So you scoop and sweep. Are you following me? You scoop and sweep. Scoop and sweep. You can see I didn't shake. I didn't shake it because when you shake it, it settles. So we do not want that, all right? So it's what they call it is scoop and sweep. Scoop and sweep, all right? So this is 3/4 cup. And I'm going to measure 1 cup. Remember, it's scoop and sweep. So 1 cup and 3/4 cup flour is equivalent to 210 grams. All right, 210 grams. And if you measure and you get something else, just let me know. So into the mix, and then another thing you need chocolate. Your chocolate can be 100 grams, or if you want more. So you know, I have some milk chocolate here. I have some milk chocolate here. So I have my milk chocolate here. Can you see that? Okay, so let me try to bend this thing backwards a bit. Yeah. So can you see the chocolate? They also come in bars. Bar, it depends on you. So it can be dark chocolate or milk chocolate, or you can mix. Okay, you can mix it if you want. All right, so that one, you are going to melt it. You're going to melt this, and usually I just steam. Either you do it in a microwave, or just for a few seconds, or you steam. All right, you just place it in a cup and steam. So while we are starting the mixing, I'm going to do that. Okay, so what I did was I added some milk chocolate and dark chocolate. So I did a mixture, just a little bit of dark chocolate and more milk chocolate. It depends on you. All right, sometimes I even add white chocolate. All right, so right now I'm going to put this in a pot with water, like a steamer. Do you understand? So I'll cover it and just allow it to steam. I'm sure you all know how to steam, don't you? If you don't know, let me know. You know how to steam, don't you? So what you do is you place it in a pot. Don't place it directly, just put the water, place it in something like this, like a plastic or something. Cover it, then allow it to steam. Then another thing you need is milk, liquid milk, 50 ml. So I'm just using my good old peak milk. All right, I'm just using my good old peak milk, 50 ml. Okay, so let's start now. Let's start. So I have a combination of my butter and margarine here. Okay, so I make sure I scrape. Butter is now very, very expensive, so I will not let any little one drop off. Okay, so now I'm going to add the sugar. Have I given you the quantity of sugar? 180 gram sugar. So right here I have butter 226 gram, then sugar. So sugar 180 grams. So in goes the sugar. Granulated sugar, of course. And you can, if you're not a sweet tooth, you can reduce the sugar. Okay. Sometimes I usually use 150 sugar. Okay. So, right, and I start creaming. I start with low speed, I move to medium speed. All right, and I move to high speed. Start with low, move to medium, and move to high. Then I add my eggs. Important to break your eggs one by one, because sometimes you get some bad eggs in between good eggs. So by the time you break, you can imagine breaking 4 good eggs and you now add one last one. So it's always good to break it separately. All right, see the difference in your margarine now. So we started with like an almost yellow mix, and it's very creamy and tending to off-white. Okay, so at this point start adding our eggs. You can see I'm breaking the eggs separately. The egg is about 270 grams. So I whisk my egg. I whisk my egg and I start adding in gradually. I just want to show you what it looks like. I'm going to scrape down now. So at this point, you can put on your oven. Remember, do not bake cake. Don't bake cake in a cold oven. Oh my God. Don't bake cake in a cold oven. So can you see that? So I have my milk. So I have my vanilla flavor here. So I just add it in. At this point, I'm going to add my flour. It's plain flour that baking powder has been added to. So I added my baking powder into plain flour. I mean, there are different kinds of flour in the market. Mama Gold, Supreme, you know, just name it. All right, Golden Penny. But I prefer Supreme, Mama Gold, because I mean, there's some flour have more gluten. The gluten in them is higher. So gluten is a component of flour that gives it that body. Do you get me? So when you're baking things like bread, gluten is fine. High gluten is necessary. But when you're baking things like cake, gluten low gluten flour is better. You know what I mean? That's the science. All those ones are going into the science of you know, baking. Now because I'm using a small, what's it called? Because it's a small mix, I'm just going to fold in, because the folding in will enhance my texture. I don't want to continue to use the mixer since I already have what I want. Do you get me? The texture. So I'm just going to fold in. So intermittently, you will add some of your milk and some of your flour. Your flour that baking powder has been infused already. So at this point too, make sure your oven is on. Is that clear, everybody? So I'm just going to fold in. Okay, so I'm doing the folding in method now. And my milk. So while I'm doing this, I'm also going to go and check. I'm going to check melting chocolate. So I want to check my chocolate. Let me get this off the stand and try to show you my steamer. Okay, so let me turn this around. Okay, so this is my steamer. This is a steamer I'm using, and if you look at it, I use something to cover my chocolate in the steamer. All right, can you see that? So we are going to now check. Can you see there's a layer of my, you know, there's this layer there that I am not placing it directly into the water. So can you see? So I'm just going to stir it a bit. Do you get me? I'm just going to stir it, all right, to see. Just hold it. So can you see? It's all almost okay. Okay, so I'm just going to pour in the rest of my milk. Okay, so adding my flour now, the rest of my flour. And of course, if you have a whole batch of flour, like you want to bake 5 kg and co, go ahead and use your mixer on low speed. All right, can you see? Looking smooth, handling it with care. I'm not just doing it anyhow, like I'm making a bao or amala or something. Okay, I'm not making, you know, I'm not doing this. I'm just tenderly mixing it, especially for the beginners amongst us. So this is baking 101. Okay, so we are set now, and I'm going to use loaf pan. This would actually do like a 6-inch, 2 regular 6 inches, like a 6-inch times 3 inches pan. Do you get me? And it will do a regular 8-inch. So it will do a regular 2 6 inches. It will do 2 regular 6 inches. If you understand what I mean by 2 regular 6 inches, just 6 inches by 3. Okay, it will do 2 because this loaf pan is equivalent to 6 inch. It would also do 1 8-inch. Okay, so these pans have been greased, so I'm just going to place some flour. You can do it if you are baking a lot of, I mean, when we are baking in a mix and bake, we have something we use to cream our cakes. We mix flour, shortening and all that, you know. I mean, that's for another day. So this will make the cake come out better. All right, so there's a mix you usually use to do that, rather than doing margarine. Let's say you have like 50 cakes, 56 inches cake or 26 inches cakes to bake. You can go through this process, or you can do, you know, the mix. There's a mix you use. You just brush it in the pan and it's ready. All right, so now you can see that I am not going to mix my chocolate inside here to get the marble. All right, and if you want to, you can, but I usually marble it while I've put it in the pan. But while I'm waiting for that, I want to go and check my oven. I'm going to move back to the island while we are waiting for it to melt. Okay, so it's not bad. It's melted now to my butter. All right, so someone is just going to scrape the rest in while I check the oven. So what I'm going to do, can you see what I'm doing? I'm just going to take some of the chocolate and scatter it around. All right, and just give it a twist. Can you see that? So this is my melted chocolate. So can you see I'm giving it a swirl? All right, so I didn't mix the whole thing from my mixer or from the bowl. So I'll just marble it around. All right, so is that clear? So this is how I do this particular recipe. Now, it doesn't mean it's all recipes you do this to, please. It's not all recipes you do this to. Okay, some recipes we mix it fully. Again, I'm going to add them in. So you can see it's already trying to solidify. That's the thing with, you know, so work fast. Can you see that? So after this goes into the oven, I will have some time to take your questions. Can you see that? It's actually really is a nice cake, because when you cut through the cake, you can actually taste the real chocolate. All right, so I'm just going to move this into the oven now. Into the oven we go. Into the So I'm going to bake this now. I forgot to line the pan, but it doesn't matter. I usually line the pan, but I've already put some, what's it called? Some flour under, and I didn't want to waste time again. So you can actually line your pan, okay? Line your pan. Of course, I usually bake it for about 45 minutes. Okay, I usually bake it for about 45 minutes.